Hi, I'm Stephanie Woods, and I'm here with Jeanetta Bodie. We're the co-founders of Soma Moon Wellness, a space we created behind the old ways of doing wellness, leadership, and business. We created Soma Moon Wellness to have a place for women to come together to have better conversations about health, wellness, and life in general.
Hi, and welcome. This podcast might feel a little different because over the next 4 to 6 months, we're going to spend some time talking about our whole self education programs. If you don't quite understand what we're talking about, go back and listen to episode 3, where we break down the 3 pillars of Soma Moon Wellness, and you'll get a better understanding of how our business is set up. Something you should know about the way that we intentionally lead within Soma is that anything we create or put into the world, before we sell it, coach it, lead it, teach it, we experience it ourselves. So, all the way from doing our own branding to writing our own copy to having our own hard conversations to launching a course. Over the next 4 to 6 months, we are going to have each course creator come on the podcast and talk a little bit about who they are, why they did it, what it's about, and anything you think is going to be helpful for those that are thinking about the courses in the Whole Self program. I love talking about pelvic floor probably more than anything else. I have termed my work vagina therapy, which I think is appropriate.
Agree. So one of the things that I've learned is that you cannot change what you're not aware of. And that's a huge part of my growth this past year is coming into that awareness. Having gone through the Empower Your Core course is where I was able to find that awareness. And it's not just the physical awareness in the body, but it's also the mental awareness and living within inside this beautiful vessel that we have been given, this little temple of us, our beautiful bodies. And we aren't here to tell you what to do. We're here to provide the tools to help you be able to achieve it yourself. It's not a right or wrong or yes or no. It's a thing that you need to continually revisit and educate yourself. Depending on what's happening in the world, your cycle, life, family, work, you're going to come at things with different perspectives. And you might find that some old patterns come up. And we can all strive to be the becoming her, the person that I want to be, and never lose sight of that. But know that it's not one and done. And I too still look back at some of the videos and refamiliarize myself. You can't absorb everything in one session. And there is a lot of great content in that program, let me tell you. And even just going back into exercises. So it's not coming from a point of I'm lecturing and telling you, it's integrating everything as well. You learn about your physical body, you learn about the anatomy and what is happening within the muscles. Did you know you had 16 muscles down there in your pelvic floor? I didn't. Did you know that you might not be able to have an orgasm because your vagina is so tense that there's no more to give and you're not broken? I didn't know that. So,
Yes.
little
Yes.
nuggets get into the deep, fun stuff that we all want to know about and are too afraid to ask about. So, there's my tangent.
Yeah, that's amazing. Gosh, you just nailed it right there. You should also know that Steph is our main project manager of creation of the courses. I asked Steph if she would read a definition of yoga therapy because I want to talk. I am a yoga therapist, and a little quick background. I've been teaching yoga and personal training for 10 years now. I got my 500. I've done breathwork training, postpartum, prenatal, personal training with mentorships. I've done NLP, subconscious reprogramming. I've been a solo entrepreneur for 10 years. I've done a lot of random shit, and I couldn't ever figure out how to bring it together. And I kept finding myself in yoga sessions because when I first started teaching, there'd be like 1 or 2 people that would come to my class. And it was funny because they would feel super awkward. They'd be like, I'm so sorry. I'm the only one. I'm like, no, 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 no. Like, you're the only one. Own that shit. And I'm giving you an hour of my time. Take it. And once you get them comfortable, I found myself often asking, okay, what do you feel? What has your attention? You have my hour. What do you want to do with it? And most of the time, it starts with, oh, I've got this weird thing in my shoulder. It just clicks here, or my hips, my back, or like whatever it is. So then we start moving the body, and then starts conversation. And they're like, how does that feel? And what is this? I don't feel it. Well, when do you feel it? Well, I feel it when I have to call my mom and after we've been fighting. So it would always lead to these things, these really in-depth emotional or kind of trying to figure out what the real problem is. I felt like as a personal trainer and as a yoga teacher, I want to help you do something, but I don't know what else to do. I didn't have the tools in my tool belt to help the people. And as a yoga teacher and a personal trainer, it's kind of out of scope a little bit to get into a lot of depth of the emotions. And it's not what you want to do in a yoga class. I kept having these interactions and kept doing my own studying. And then I discovered the profession of yoga therapy. And I asked Steph to read the definition that we've created for yoga therapy because I feel it really encompasses our whole self programs. The point is not to be your therapist, it's to do therapeutic work so that you can begin to feel your body again. So, Steph, will you read that for me?
Yoga therapy is a relational, nervous system informed practice that uses movement, breath, awareness, and self inquiry to support healing at the pace of the body. At Soma Moon Wellness, yoga therapy isn't about fixing symptoms or prescribing poses. It's about helping people restore communication with their body, build regulation and resilience. I feel really uncomfortable right now. I really want to share this story with you. This is a great example of how I am growing and pushing through old behaviors and patterns. I've always been challenged when having to read out loud. Part of even teaching yoga and going through my teacher training was to help me conquer this fear. And I get to a point where the words blend together. I'm pretty sure I'm dyslexic, but never been formally diagnosed with it. But I definitely switch letters around and I will replace words with words that seem similar. It's really fascinating how my brain works, and I appreciate it so much more than I used to. I used to feel much shame about it, but it's also a part of what makes me beautiful and what makes me unique. So you can hear I'm a little emotional, but I want others to be able to have this feeling that they can rise above a fear that they've had in their life. And it might not always look beautiful and powerful and you have your shit together, but as long as you still push through and you're able to do the thing that's hard, we can all do hard things. That's where we can change our narrative and become truer to who we are.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. That's beautiful. Thank you for being so brave to do that. Because we all have those things. I have those things. The conversation we were just having this morning is my husband calls me a thoroughbred horse. He grew up around horses and he was like, "You're a thoroughbred. Like you just point it in a direction and you just go to your detriment at a lot of points. You don't know when to stop." And I have associated my value so much with producing something. Look, I can bring you joy. Look, I can make you happy. Look, I can do these things. And then what I do is I overbook myself and then I disappoint everybody. And it's a self-sabotaging belief of like, oh, look, see, I can't do it. I'm not good enough because I failed to do this. When I actually set myself up for failure because I'm not being realistic with my time. And both these situations, both my ability to be honest with myself and create a schedule that is doable, it may feel smaller than what I want to do, and Steph's story and her narrative that she's not a good public speaker or that she can't read in public, because both of them have real lived experience data points where there has been a significant amount of shame around them, are things that we have used yoga therapy to restore communication with our body. Like you could hear it in your voice. This means something. And so we were talking about it this morning. I tend to be a rip the band-aid and be like, fuck it, I don't want it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about it. And I get really aggressive. And I think you have done something opposite of, I don't want to look at it. I'm going to really run away from it. And we all do that. That's your nervous system.
And I would say an interesting thing that's happening right now is that I am so hot right now. I am sweating. All those emotions and feeling like wash over your whole body. And it's wild because I'm having these sensations and just want it to stop. And then you're battling your body because I'm physically uncomfortable. I'm emotionally uncomfortable. And how do we sit in that discomfort and still rise above it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you do is you literally feel your body. Like right now,
Yeah.
like
Hands on your
it's
heart.
hot. I'm here, my heartbeat's reading, but
Nothing is happening to me.
nothing is happening.
Oh, so true.
It is, and I have so many opinions about women's health. I've been on the outskirts of it for 10 years, staring in, but also being very guarded with what I say out of fear of judgment. And I'm embracing the whatever last year was the snake and shedding,
Shedding.
and I don't have any more fucks left. That's what I was telling myself. I'm done. Because what's happening is pelvic health is no longer a niche. Women's health, people are aware and they're talking about it. Integrating women's health knowledge into lived experience and how to take this clinical information that my very amazing doctor or GYN or PT gave me and figuring out how the hell to manage it while I am stressed out trying to get my kid to school and my husband lost a job, or I'm having these emotional outbursts because I'm experiencing feeling trauma or this memory and I can't move past it. Integrating those two is still a niche. People don't know how to do that because we've not been coached. And I feel like I have a very lucky in some ways that I have a gift where if I feel something in my body, I can teach it. I am the most kinesthetic person I think I have ever met. I almost failed an anatomy and physiology class in college, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm not smart. And then I found yoga, and I was like, hell yeah, I love anatomy because I had to feel it in my body. My yoga therapy sessions and coaching is about integration. The first two questions I ask in every session is, what am I feeling today? And what has my attention? An example of that is I want you to picture yourself standing in front of a refrigerator. You've just opened the fridge and you're standing there and you're looking into the refrigerator and you're going to say, what do I want right now? What would feel good? And I want you to picture another image, which is you're in a fitting room and you're going to put a dress on and you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, what do I think? Try it on. I'm not going to buy it yet. I'm just going to feel it. Do I like the colors? Do I like the way it feels? Do I have this sense of, yes, I feel very pretty, or this is not it? And that's what somatics is. The second question that I ask is, what has my attention? These two together are really important because what we've just done is say, what am I feeling? Tax into your body and your emotions, your energetics. What has my attention is again, nervous system and your mental body, your emotional body. Is there a song that you can't get out of your head? Is there a memory? Is there a conversation that you keep having over and over and over again and you keep replaying it? Or is there something like that OCD type behavior? I have a 9-year-old and trying to get him to walk past the TV without looking at it is impossible. Those two things are what we pay attention to because it dictates what has your life, where you need to focus. Yoga therapy is support for getting to the answer to that.
That's well said. How would you approach yoga therapy with a client? What that
Yeah.
would look like?
I feel the concept of yoga therapy is a little hard to hold because when I say yoga, what's the image that comes in your mind?
Poses.
Poses. Immediately. It's a yoga studio, it's Warrior Two, and most of the time that version of yoga is actually an exercise class with a dash of stillness and a powerful quote, maybe some breath work. None of that is wrong. But we need to call it what it is. It's a yoga class. It's an exercise class. Yoga therapy is taking all the limbs of yoga. So meditation, self-study, yamas and niyamas. We're going to talk more about this next month when we go into living yoga. It's looking at all the limbs, all the rabbit holes of tools and experiences and somatics and nervous system and body and mental and emotional and spiritual, taking all of those and putting them on the table and saying, these are accessible for us to use and go to if the client feels like it's safe. Because I'm not going to force you to talk about something. If I were to have a conversation about their sexual trauma without their body being okay with it, then that's incongruent. It's not going to serve them. It's not going to help them. We're not going to find wholeness. We're not going to work on healing. We're going to just traumatize the system again. When I do a yoga therapy session, do a one-on-one, it usually starts with a lot of open-ended and honest questions. Based on those two responses, what am I feeling and what has your attention? And then with the client's help, identify where do we want to work on? Because I also want to hold it open that we don't need to work on stuff all the time. We don't need to keep pulling up. Maybe it's like, hey, my shoulder is weak and I broke my collarbone, and so I need to rehab my shoulder. But that's triggering into some identity about my strength and not being good enough and not being strong enough. So we might do some shoulder work, but we're also going to talk about this issue over here. We identify the thing that we want to work on, and then we look at the topic. Is it a body topic? Is it an anatomy topic? Meaning, do you understand how your shoulder joint works? Do you understand that it's a ball and socket joint? Do you understand where the main muscles, like your pecs and your lats, do you know that if you open your pecs, then you can work on strengthening your lats? Is there physical weakness that's causing the pain here? And if you're like, cool, okay, we got some education, we can now make a better informed choice. Or maybe it's like, hey, that's not doing anything. Maybe we understand that it's off and on. It doesn't happen all the time. So then we go into the nervous system, and maybe you don't understand what your nervous system is. And so we talk about that for a minute so that you can begin to self-identify what the problem is. I typically like to do at least 4 sessions with somebody because there's a lot of learning about you and about what's going on in your life and your history and what you want to work on. And then usually by the end of the first session, we've identified, okay, we're going to spend the next 3 working on this. And then in the second session, the client self-identifies what part of the problem feels most urgent because problems are multi-layered. I've used this example before in yoga therapy. We talk about koshas, where it's like a Russian stacking dolls, where version of ourselves, our body, we identify it, we see it in the mirror, we know what it is, we know who we are, but we are also not just our body. We also have emotions. Maybe we don't know how to feel fear. And so that might be the thing overcoming this fear about public speaking. We identify what is one thing. I love this quote from Jordan Peterson. His 12 rules for life, he talks about what is one thing that you can do today that will change tomorrow. I'm not looking for a 6 to 10 year plan. I'm saying this is urgent and it needs some attention. What can we start doing? Maybe it is making your bed in the morning. Maybe it is setting 15 minutes to go to your room and sit still, get on the floor, do some breath work before you go to bed. One of my clients that I'm working with, she works a full-time job and she's really stressed out. We identified that she has zero time. She goes from waking up to getting coffee to getting dressed to going to work. So what we've identified is she needs 30 minutes to do nothing. You need to set your clock 30 minutes earlier to have time. Maybe you write in your journal, maybe you just sit and stare at a wall and listen to music. It's your 30 minutes to do whatever you want. Do not give it away. And so we've identified what feels most urgent. We've created this vision of what I want life to look like. I want to go to work more peaceful. And then what are the 3 things that you need to do? I need to make sure my alarm's set up. What do you need to do the night before? What are you going to do if somebody says, hey, can I have this time? We kind of practice and role play by asking these honest and open questions. And then the next few sessions are, how did it go? Because most of us fuck it up. Most of us don't do it right. If we were good at it, we'd already be doing it.
I think there's a lot in that of giving that time to yourself. It's really
Yeah.
easy to give it away to somebody else. So there's that pressure and that people pleasing. I think we all have a little bit of that. And I too actually did this recently where I'm like, I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to do this. And I set my alarm 30 minutes earlier and I worked it all in and I'm much more calm and settled, even though I have less sleep.
Yeah, yeah. That's where a lot of subconscious reprogramming comes in. Part of yoga is self-study. I was just in a yoga class on Sunday and she was like, you're the witness. And I think that's such a great word, is that we are the witness of ourselves. And so many of us are on autopilot. And I think this autopilot only is going to get worse as technology and information become accessible and we're trying to do things with ease. Then when we get into conflict, when we feel that tension, we're like, oh, this is hard, I'm out. Well, sometimes self-study is really hard. It's really hard to sit and be like, I feel so uncomfortable. I feel so embarrassed right now, or I feel so much pain. And being able to recognize nothing is happening to me. and it's okay to talk about it. And I can practice touching and going, touch the issue and walk away from it. And those are things that we practice in yoga therapy sessions.
How can I sign up to do this with you?
You can go to our brand new website. That's so cool. We just created our yoga therapy page. I am taking 5 clients this month. I'm trying to start a little slow, trying to get back into seeing people and being out of hibernation after closing the studio. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, spitball clients that I've worked with before. I worked with a woman in her 80s that was having breathing issues. We talked a lot about breathing. We talked about death. We talked about grief. We talked about, hey, she's 80 and she's probably going to die soon. So, what does that mean and how does she feel about that? We talked about how to help her get stronger and how to help her breath not be so chaotic. I have worked with a woman postpartum depression. She had a baby late in her 40s, was very unexpected and was having a really hard time adjusting. And most of our sessions were me putting her in a restorative yoga position and getting her to focus on 5 minutes of breathing while I went and hold her baby screaming in the bathroom. I have worked with patients that have had extreme sexual trauma, sexual abuse. This is probably the most tender to me because I believe that having an orgasm is a biological right. Your body should be allowed and capable of having an orgasm unless there's been some hugely accidental major trauma issue. How you have an orgasm, it's a personal belief. For me, a lot of my sexual trauma was healed through relationship and conversation with my husband. I had a baby, had an emergency C-section, major postpartum depression, and there were no resources. This was 10 years ago. There was not postpartum support. There was not pelvic health care rehab. And so I did the deep diving. How do I do this? And then what happened as my body was healing post C-section, then it tapped into some unprocessed sexual trauma that happened in my childhood that would show up in the middle of sex. I'd freeze, I'd panic. And so we would literally practice. He's inside me, we are on the bed in it. I'm like, hey, I just need you to pause. Like, I'm okay. I just need you to pause for a second. And I practice relaxing my pelvic floor like a Kegel, open, close. This is all the things you'll learn in Empower Your Core. I would practice that and I would look at him, like look at his eyes, like I am here in this room with you. And then I'd be like, I'm safe. Nothing's happening to me. I'm having sex with my husband. This is amazing. Okay, let's go. And that's how I healed relationship with him. Another is how to have sex with the lights on. Like all of these type of things are things that I've taught and worked on myself and I teach in yoga therapy and is the foundation of Empower Your Core.
Thank you so much for sharing.
So there's 3 ways to work with me. One is yoga therapy session, doing private one-on-ones. The second is purchasing the Empower Your Core course. And I say course, but I want you to think about it as a daily meditation, self-study, and integrative coaching. It has everything you need to understand your pelvic floor, understand how your pelvic floor affects your emotions, your energetics, your spirituality. It's all wrapped in one, and there's a lot there.
From a standpoint of the course online, we tried to hit multiple ways to absorb this information. There's the video so you can hear it. There's a copy that you can take a look and read through. There's also visuals, as you'll find a PDF on every chapter to help provide additional information that is gone over in the video.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Steph did such a good job. It looks so amazing.
It does. I'm proud of it.
It's beautiful. So you can do one-on-ones with me. You can do Empower Your Core by yourself. And January 22nd, I'm going to do a live Substack workshop. It's a pelvic health yoga class that I'm going to be doing. And in February, I'm going to start offering those on Zoom twice a month. We'll have that information on our yoga therapy page at Soma Moon Wellness. But if you want to join the live Substack, it will be January 22nd at 4 p.m. Pacific time. So those are the 3 ways you can work with me. You can also just shoot me an email and being like, hey, I heard you. What the hell are you talking about?
Or if you want to learn more, we definitely would love to hear some areas of interest that you'd like to hear more that expands into your life. We also have a lot of content on the website, so definitely take a look at that as well.
That's it for today.
So thank you again for listening. We are excited for what this future holds coming into the year of the horse and are excited to share and learn alongside with you. So be well, be loved, be blessed. Namaste, my friend.
Namaste.